Hey guys, my name's Kimberly Fuhrman and I'm a sociology major at Clemson University. And this is my video blog for my new student dialogue, Library 100 assignment. And I went to my new student dialogue on November 5th, and I went to the one about the power of privilege. And it was just about different people in the world and how some are more privileged than others, and the different opportunities you may or may not have if you're more privileged than others. And when we first got there, we just introduced ourselves, said our name, our major, stuff like that. And we kind of had a little discussion about what exactly a dialogue is, rather than a debate or a discussion. And then we just kind of started our discussion about what privilege is and who's more privileged than others. And our first activity was we got this little wheel chart, and it's just a wheel, and it's called the social identity wheel. And basically it asks your race, social economic class, gender, sexual orientation, age, national origin, first language, religion, things like that. And we had to fill it out for ourselves, and we did this individually. And then we had to number them, and what we thought we identified with the most, what was the most important in our everyday lives, which ones we felt were caused us to make our everyday decisions. And we had to label them 1st through 10th actually, based on that scale. And which is really interesting to think about, because it sounds pretty simple, but when you actually start to do it, you realize that it's something that you never think about at all. And it was a lot more difficult than you would think if you haven't done it. And then we got into groups of 3. I think it was either, I was in a group of 3. I think maybe some had 4. And we had to discuss our top few choices and our bottom few choices. And we had to tell each other which ones we picked and why we picked them. And it was really interesting to see the differences, because what I picked was totally different from what the people in my group picked, and my reasons were very different from their reasons. And once they start telling you their reasons, you kind of start thinking, well, maybe that one should have been higher up on my list, because their reason's actually pretty good. And then after that, we broke up into groups again, and I had a group of, it was either 3 or 4, and we got note cards, and the note cards had on there, one said college graduate, one said high school graduate, mentally disabled, children over the age of 65, and different things like that. And there was quite a few of them. I can't remember exactly how many there were, but you had to put them in, you had to pick out your top 10 that you felt were the most privileged, and then the bottom 10 that you felt were the least privileged. And then once you did that, you had to order them in the sequence of what you thought was most privileged and least privileged. And some of the ones that were picked a lot for most privileged were middle-aged, college graduate, high school graduate, and children was picked a lot, Christian was picked a lot. And then some of the ones that were picked a lot for least privileged were gay, lesbian, or bisexual, 65 and older, and mentally disabled, which, are kind of obvious. And then we had to go around the room and share, and we had to pick our top 3 and our bottom 3 to share, and then tell everybody why we picked those 3. And that was extremely interesting to hear the differences of different groups and why they picked them, because a lot of them, maybe I there's some that I found myself disagreeing with and others that I found myself agreeing with, and some that when they first said it I was like, why would you pick that? And then when they explained it, I totally had changed my side on it. So that was really interesting. But I thought that this new student dialogue was a really good thing for new students entering a university, because there are so many different people from so many different backgrounds, and I think it is very important to remember that some may not be as privileged as you are, and that's something important to keep in mind. And so that concludes my video blog.